for you folks watching the recording, I forgot to turn it on, so you don't have Brother Memfo's beautiful opening, but it was pretty much as it is in the first 3 recordings, so you could go back and listen to that. Okay, so hi. All right, so I had originally intended tonight to continue on with our studies about Damballa and Aida Vodou and share with you some of the homework assignments that were sent in. However, as it does happen now and again, I got a little kick in the head from some SIMBI guys, which I'm sure is related to the fact that on Sunday we have the SIMBI Glow free ritual going on, and I was thinking that probably some of you guys are going to go to that, and that it might be better to kind of stop for a second and talk about the SIMBIs a little bit, because I think that will really enrich your experience if you go to the free ritual on Sunday. And even if you don't, then you will know something about the SIMBIs. So that I just I like to act like that was my idea, but I don't think it really was. I think it was just sort of a kick in the head from a couple of SIMBIs. So, but again, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about and what this little series is about everyday life with the Loa. And if you had a chance to watch the first 3 recordings, or you were here, and God bless you for some of you that were here for every class so far, you know, this is, of course, we're bringing relevant information, but some of this is not, and I had a few questions, this is why I'm going to address this, that a few people thought that I was not addressing some of the more formal aspects of what we do as Vodou Isans, that I was not addressing some of the more proper ritual, so forth and so on. But that is not what I meant this series to be about. I really did mean for this series to be what it says there, everyday life with the Loa, because that is the thing that I find is most germane to what people want. Our people, our clients, they want to know how to incorporate this into their everyday life. And many of them probably have no intention of ever being initiated or becoming a Kuzan or joining a house, but they want to respect and honor and work with the Loa. And that is perfectly fine. Not everything has to be a big formal ritual or a big, you know, bringing out the flags and doing dances and all that. And all those things are wonderful. And, you know, eventually we probably will teach those things. But that's the whole thing there, you know, so people calling me down, which just is laughable to me anyway, but, you know, people calling me down because I'm not doing it right, man. You know, I'm like, whatever. So I'm totally Cartman. I do what I want. So the thing of it is this is about everyday life with the Loa, incorporating the Loa into your everyday life. And so it's not that I won't teach the more formal things. It's not that I don't know them. And it's not that I don't teach them. It's just that that's not what this is. So, of course, having said that, we obviously always want to be within certain parameters of honor and respect to the Loa. And I think I cover that adequately in every class. If I don't, then somebody who knows me really well probably needs to tell me that. But in my mind, I do. And so I don't want to present the idea either that I'm being super casual about all this and that those things don't matter, because they do matter. It's just that the thing that has always for years been brought to me is people that are everyday people with everyday lives that are not walking around to be priests or priestesses, Hungans or Mambos, want to work with the Loa, and they want to do it. They want to incorporate it in their everyday life. So that's what this is about. Any questions about that? Is it? I mean, I just wanted to be really clear. If it's not clear, raise your hand, put a little question mark, and just and ask me. I don't believe in any foolish questions or anything like that. I will answer everything to the best of my ability. So, anything that needs to be cleared up about that? No, no, no. Okay. Cool. All right. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the SIMBIWA. I just wanted to mention that we do have the free online ritual on Sunday. There's the times. There's the... oh, sorry about that. The picture kind of got over that. Anyway, if you just click on that, it'll bring you to the link to go to the free ritual. It's free to be included. It's free to send in a prayer petition. It's anonymous. You don't have to, just like this, you don't have to give your name or anything like that. So take advantage of it if you can. Okay, so let's talk about who are the SIMBIWA. So the SIMBIWA are a large group of Petro-Loa. And if you watch the other classes, you'll know the difference between Petro and Rada. If you didn't watch them, you can go back and learn it there. And if you need the links, just email us. Okay, so they originated in the Congo. There are well over 20 known SIMBIWA, probably 26, 27, 28, something like that. And then there are some that sort of fall in the SIMBI category. But, and there are probably many, many more that we don't know about, like we had talked about in one of the earlier classes. You know, there are Loa unknown, and every once in a while, it's really exciting. A new Loa will pop up, like a new SIMBI will pop up, or a new Ogun. It happens a lot in houses in Haiti and in houses that have formal groups of peristyle. Suddenly, here will come a new Loa. So, well, new to us, you know, ancient, hasn't really, you know, communicated. And then all of a sudden, we find out that there's someone we didn't know about. So, I'm sure there's many more SIMBI because it's a really powerful, powerful group. So, since we're doing the ritual on Sunday for SIMBI Dlo, for tonight's discussion, I thought we would limit it to the three of the major SIMBI Loa that we work with a lot: SIMBI Dlo, SIMBI ANDEZO, and SIMBI Makaya. Although I'm going to tell you, we're not going to really hit too much on SIMBI Makaya because really that is like a whole class unto itself. That's like a series of classes, really. Just SIMBI Makaya could be like just a series of classes. So, we'll touch a little bit on him, but like I said, he's so complex and powerful that we could probably do a whole class. But I also wanted to pay honor, acknowledge Grand Simba. So this is a female SIMBI known as the mother of the SIMBI Loa. We will talk about her at a later date. Now, in a lot of literature, she's not acknowledged as such. But I know of at least 2 other houses that do acknowledge her as the mother of the SIMBI, and she's been known to, I mean, I saw this myself in Haiti at the peristyle. She's been known to show up. I went to Haiti, not for my initiatory trip, but I went for a SIMBI Makaya magical workshop. And so they were doing all the opening night. They were doing all the rituals for SIMBI Makaya, and she popped up and possessed someone, and really took over. Probably for about 15 minutes. She just like stopped the ritual kind of dead in its tracks, because everything was set up for Simbi Makaya, all the music, all the songs, all the colors. Everybody was wearing Makaya. The colors there are black, red, and green for Makaya in that house. And everybody's wearing all that, special outfits. Makaya across the board, right? She just stopped everything dead and just kind of demanded some honor and respect. And people were running around getting stuff for her, and she started singing these beautiful songs. And what was really interesting about this part of it, and to me there's always a way to spot a fake possession. Well, and I would never accuse anyone of it, but I would just keep my little mouth shut. But anyway, the thing that was so powerful about this whole thing was this was a little Haitian girl, probably 14 years old, didn't speak a word of English. We had all met her. She was the daughter of a Hunsi, spoke perfect English when she was possessed, spoke perfect Creole too, but said things to the white people in perfect English. So I just don't see any way that could happen. But anyway, so I just wanted to make sure, because I kind of learned my lesson there, that we would acknowledge Simba. And she said, the whole point of my little long-winded story there was that she claims the motherhood of the SIMBIWA. She claims it. And so I say that is good enough for me. That's all I need. I don't need to see it in a book. I don't need to see it written down. I heard it. I believed it. So I'm going to pass it along in that way. Then as you learn more, or if you know more already, you can make that choice for yourself if you want to say it. Okay, so let's go with some general SIMBI information. They're considered water spirits. They are also said to reside, so I don't know, and I don't want to kind of get off track here too much about fluidic ether. It's the matter that is supposed to be between heaven and earth and all planets, and it's what spiritual entities travel in, live in, kind of thing. So you can look it up. So they're said to reside in that, and as well in all water sources. So pretty much like all water sources, fresh, salt, brackish. They're some of the SIMBIWA are separated a little bit. You know, this one likes fresh water, this one likes salt water, you know, that kind of thing. But they really won't get offended by any kind of water. So they're often represented by a long, slim green snake. You'll see that a lot in pictures and on drapeaus and flags and things like that. You'll see long, like little skinny green snakes. Those are generally representing SIMBI for most artists. Sometimes a white snake is used. Well, often a white snake is used, actually. You just have to know not to confuse that with Damballa. And generally, the way you can tell that is by what's surrounding the snake figure. You know, so, and if you ever have questions, you can always ask. So they have messengers on Earth that are created for them, especially in the Congo, and these are called Nkisi. They're still used today in Congo tribes, and they've gained a lot of popularity, so they're used in other groups and things like that. So the Nkisi, and I'm going to show you some pictures of from Paran Matt and I's collection. The Nkisi help the SIMBI manifest their magic by giving the spirit kind of a solid home to inhabit, and it gives the practitioners, and I'll explain to you how, a specific place and object to honor and consult and request from the SIMBIWA. No, you don't need an NISI. I mean, if you want to get one, I'm just going to tell you, to get a real one, they're kind of expensive. They're very expensive. They can be super expensive. And I'll tell you a little bit more about them when we get to the pictures. But they are kind of the NISI are kind of the SIMBI soldiers. And they're used, the NISI are works of art also. And they're used in specific ways, and they're used for many different things. I mean, Congo tribes use them for healing, for fertility, for wealth, protection, psychic powers, divination. I mean, each one has sort of a different usage that it's used for. So. Okay, so the SIMBI's magical powers, and I think I said it already, but you don't need an NISI to call on the SIMBI. Okay, so anyway, the magical powers are really varied. They can silence a problem. They really can just stop something just so fast. They can stop an enemy. They can help with wealth, the healing. They're very good at clearing up confusion and bringing clarity. They're very good at bringing peace. SIMBIWA, which we'll talk about him a little bit, of course, is, of course, the great sorcerer, the great magician. Anytime you work with him, and he's very often used, especially in New Orleans voodoo. SIMBIWA is mostly used with someone else. So let's just say you're working with Ogun. SIMBIWA can often be called in to just bump that up on a difficult situation. SIMBIWA is also obviously used on his own. He doesn't need a partner. Don't mean to imply that, but he is sometimes used in that way. And there's lots of societies in Haiti dedicated to SIMBIWA. So again, that guy needs like a whole class, because I could probably talk for 6 hours about Makaya. Anyway, so all right. Oh, any questions so far? Sorry. Anybody? Okay. I will move on. So these are in NISI. Yes, that's Param, Matt, and I's living room right there. Some of you have been in that living room, so you know it is that living room. So in NISI, as you can see from the first guy, that there's a ton of nails in him, and you can see it on the two on the left hand side in the middle, and then you'll see the other two kind of on the right hand side of that metal picture, and then the big guy that stands in the corner. They have metal pieces of sharp metal hammered into them. Okay, so, and that is generally how it goes with NISI. There are either nails or kind of arrow-shaped pieces of metal, and the point is obviously in the wooden NISI. In a tribe or in a house, a particular NISI is used for a particular thing. The head of the tribe, that is the medicine man, the shaman, the witch doctor, whatever, the hungan, the mambo. You go to them and you say, "Hey, Mambo Sam. Hey, Pran Matt. I need to have a baby, but I'm really having a lot of trouble." So the head of the house would do a ritual, a fertility ritual for you. The last part of that ritual would be hammering a nail into the Nkisi. Now, these are not Nkisi that I have used. These are Nkisi that were collected, and they are all from the Congo. What happens, which is so interesting, is when the tribe, these are all tribal, when the tribe is done with the Nkisi, they release the spiritual energy from it. They're done with it. They're like, ah, don't need it. It has come to the attention of collectors that people will pay big money for these things. The tribe's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll sell it to you because we don't use it anymore. At some point, they decide, nope, either you can't fit any more nails or you can't fit any more metal onto them. That Nkisi has done enough. That Nkisi is, in effect, retired. They will still keep them, but they'll sell them off because they're not really using them anymore. And of course, obviously, usually the tribe can use the money too. And so we have many more of these guys. But it's the same way with the metal. Now, the reason it's different is it's different tribes do it differently. I asked a question about nails in general, just because some of these are really pretty old, and I'm like, really? Nails? Huh? You know, like, where do they get nails? But, you know, a lot of people were, there are people that actually study Nkisi as an art form, and I was lucky enough to meet one of these people, and they were like, they will trade for nails. They will travel and trade for nails, but the tribes that can't get nails, apparently, or whatever happened there, they took to cutting metal. So where they got these materials and everything, you know, I think is, you know, who knows? Who knows? Like, I don't even know when the nail was invented. Maybe somebody out there does. It's, you know, probably thousands of years ago, right? But anyway, so I'm not going to say every Nkisi in the world is a soldier of the SIMBIWA, because I have no way to know that. But traditionally, the Nkisi are the soldiers of the SIMBIWA. So if you see an Nkisi in an art exhibit, it'll probably tell you where it came from in the Congo, or what tribe had it. It'll probably tell you it was a fertility one, a wealth one, you know, or they may not know. A lot of times they just don't know. I have quite a few that I can sort of tell what they were for, and I was told what some of them were for, but some of them don't know, just love them. Anyway, so that's the Nkisi. Any question about those guys? They're pretty cool. Have any of you guys seen these before? Except you people that have been to our house. I know you've seen them. Has anyone else seen them, experienced them? Yeah. Does anyone have like did anyone know what they were for or anything? I don't think it's that well known. You usually just see them advertised wherever, you know, an art dealers, they'll say fertility icon or Congo tribal statue, something like that. It's usually not people. I find that people that collect art sometimes just buy them because they're cool. You know, they collect African art. They find that it looks cool. They go, it's a fertility thing, and you know, or whatever. So yeah, maybe on TV. Yeah, I think I've seen them in a couple of movies and things like that. So yeah. So, okay, so that's an NISI. Now you know. Now watch, you're going to see them. You know how that is when you haven't ever seen anything or you didn't know what it was, and then suddenly you start seeing them everywhere? I bet you guys are going to start seeing them. Okay, so some more general info on the SIMBIWA. So water is always present on their altar. And I know we say that pretty much for all Loa, but you don't necessarily have to have water, you know, on an altar if you have a bunch of other drinks and offerings and things. Water is common and we always use it, but just know that if you're serving a SIMBIWA, you always want to have water present on their altar. So they're often served with blue and silver. Well, the water thing, right? There are other combinations of colors throughout different Vodou houses. As with all Loa, you can't go wrong if you just serve them with white. I'm going to give you guys a link to our Three Kings ritual, and it has more color combinations and things in there throughout the ritual. So there's a lot of different combinations according to different houses. So, you know, I don't want to say just choose the colors that you feel are good, but if you see 3 different color combinations for one SIMBI, you read it here, you read it there, you read it somewhere else, pick the one that resonates with you. And you probably won't go wrong. So their general offerings often consist of fish. There's water Loa that do not accept fish and seafood as offerings, but the SIMBI do. Rainwater, if you can capture rainwater, that is a really, really good offering for them. Green ribbons, snake skins, white foods, cucumbers, white rum, whiskey. I know we talked many years ago in a different class about making like little plants in water, plants like ivy and stuff that grows in water, in a clear, I think it was Kuzan Lucy talked about doing it in a fishbowl, because I always thought that was the coolest idea. So, was that you, Kuzan Lucy, that said to put the ivy in a fishbowl? I think it was her. But I always thought that was pretty cool. So you can set up kind of like a little terrarium effect. Yeah, it was a while ago, huh? You know, with like pretty shells and water and some green plants, things like that. If you wanted to have kind of an ongoing thing to offer the SIMBIWA. Black pepper for SIMBIWA and some other things. But so with the exception of SIMBIWA now, and a few other SIMBI, especially like Grand Simba, she wasn't quiet. They're mostly known to be quiet Loa, reserved, even a little bit shy. They've been known to stand outside of a room or a peristyle or anybody that's doing a ritual and kind of just be off to the side, wait to be invited in, wait to be spoken to, kind of coaxed in, kind of thing. So they're pretty quiet. I've seen some things written to where they're considered standoffish. I wouldn't really consider them standoffish. I just consider them reserved. I mean, just like people, right? There are people that are reserved and a little bit shy. So kind of like that. But you shouldn't be put off by that. I mean, if you do an offering to them and call them in, they're pretty quick to accept the invitation. It's just that they really want the invitation. You know how, like, well, some of you know, like Papa Legba will just pop up, Erzali Fredo will just pop up, you know, Ogun will just pop up, whether you called them or not, because they got something they want to tell you or they want to be involved in your ritual. The SIMBI, not so much. They are, and again, with the exception of Makaya, They are pretty much known to wait, speak when spoken to, kind of thing. So you do kind of have to make the effort. Okay, so as I was speaking about earlier, and you old timers know that we have the SIMBI Three Kings ritual. So that is SIMBI ANDEZO, SIMBI Lo, and SIMBI Makaya. They are very often worked with together. And in that aspect, they are often represented with a picture of the three kings or the three wise men, whatever you want to call them. It's very common to do a ritual to these three SIMBIs on the Epiphany or Three Kings Day, which is January 6th. But you don't have to wait until January 6th to do this ritual. You can really do it any time. It's just that that is a time that it's traditional to do it. I put the link there, which should be clickable when you. I think it's going to be clickable when you watch the recording. If it isn't, just write it into your browser. So at least the information will be there for you. I embedded it to be clickable, so we shall see. Oh, yay, it works. Woo! Whoop, whoop. So, awesome. So this particular ritual is really useful when you have a situation that is complex. It's just when you have one of those things that just has, all these kind of little different fingers to it, and he said, she said, who knows what the hell's going on situation. That Three Kings ritual is really, really good for that, because I wrote it to represent a team effort. Well, I sort of rewrote it from a family ritual, but anyway, it's meant to represent a team effort, strategy, stealth, power, coming together, putting that team behind something that is just overwhelming. So it's really good for if you have situations that are overwhelming you and you're having trouble getting clarity, you're having trouble focusing, you're having trouble making any inroads into the situation because it's just so complicated and you're just going to throw up your hands and say to hell with it. This is a really good ritual for that. And especially if there's a lot of players in the situation and a lot of factors that you need to address, this is super, super good for that. So give it a try. I would love for you guys to give it a try and report back to us if you use it, because it's really good. I know there's quite a few people here that have already done it because we did it together. Yeah, so and then you can take a look at it. If you have any questions, you can certainly write to customer service at spellmaker.com if you don't understand something about it, and we will be glad to. I'm going to write that down for you. There you go. You can ask us questions. That's fine. We are more than happy to help you if something about it's not clear. And I realize I might need obviously it won't change the link, but I think I do need to go look at it again and maybe put a little more explanation in there, because before we did this ritual as a group a few years ago, we had 3 classes about it. So those people that were doing it had the advantage of the classes. So if you give me a couple of days, I might go in and kind of make sure that the information doesn't need to be beefed up. I think that it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll take another look at it and make sure. I just remembered that we had all those classes before we actually did the ritual. So, questions about that so far? Not really. It doesn't really matter. Do you mean like, does it matter if it's a love situation, a money situation? Right. No, it doesn't. You can use it for anything, really. If you have a love situation that we address generally with like a love spell trio or something, this is probably not going to solve all the relationship problems that would. But it's really good for helping you get clarity on things. For instance, if you're in a relationship and things have gotten super complicated and other people are getting involved in that relationship and you're just kind of at that point where you're like, oh my goodness, I just don't know. Do I even want to be here anymore? Can I get these other people out of my relationship? That kind of thing. This could be really helpful. But generally speaking, if you have a more complicated relationship issue, someone has left you, you want them back, we address that in a different way. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so Aiden had incredible results with a complex financial situation. Great. And there is something to be said about, and I meant to mention something, just to backtrack on Aiden for a second, that the usage of the three wise men, of course, doesn't mean that the three wise men are SIMBI, ANDEZO, SIMBI Glow, and SIMBI Makaya. It just means that they've become syncretized in that way. Also, finances are a really good thing to use this with, because over time, as the syncretization has happened with the three wise men, then the three kings ritual and SIMBI ANDEZO, SIMBI Glow, and SIMBI Makaya together have come to represent wealth and finances, bringing the gifts to the baby Jesus, etc., etc. So yeah, it's really good for financial situations, and especially like Aiden just said, complex financial situations. You know, like if something's going to hell in a handbasket, you have a lawsuit, you have, you know, something where someone's saying you owe money, you don't owe the money, or someone owes you money, you can't get the money, and then somebody else got involved, all that kind of hooey. It's really good for that kind of thing. But it can be useful in relationship types of situations as well. Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, cool. Okay, so since we're having that, we're going to have that ritual. Let's talk a little bit about SIMBI Glow. So SIMBI Glow basically means SIMBI of the water. He's a great communicator, but also a Loa of silence. So that kind of might make you go, huh? But let's just say that he might be a Loa of few words, but every word's going to count. It's going to be that kind of thing where you ask a question and you get a very direct answer, probably of a few words. So I think if you're looking to SIMBI Glow for guidance, I think that you should try to make your question simple, or break it down in, you know, if it's a complicated question, break it down into 3 questions, because he's going to want to be very direct and not beat around the bush with the guidance. And so, you know, try to frame your question accordingly. And I'm not saying it has to be a yes or no question. Not at all. But, you know, try to just kind of keep it succinct if you can. So he has no tolerance for things like gossip, backbiting, you know, bitchy little comments, So if you are being victimized by any of that kind of stuff, he's your man. Well, he's your Loa. Because he's a real master of knowing when to be quiet, certainly believes that silence is golden, and, you know, all those kinds of things. So if you have fallen victim to that, I mean, I guess almost all of us have at one point or another in life. And especially if you've fallen victim to the kind of gossipy, backbiting nastiness that is harmful to you. I mean, sure, some stuff we can just shrug off. We can just be like, oh, yeah, whatever. You know, that guy's just a jerk and whatever, and you can just walk away from it. But sometimes these things can be very hurtful. They can harm relationships. They can harm your work, which then in turn harms your finances, or it can harm your marriage, or, you know, I mean, words do hurt. So if you're being victimized by something like that, I would strongly suggest if you can't go to the ritual on Sunday, I would strongly suggest that you send in a petition for that. So SIMBI glow is also very good to help soothe relationships that have fallen to arguing, fighting, bickering, all of that stuff. So he's really good if you're in a relationship, and it doesn't have to be a love relationship. It can be with, you know, your mom, whatever. If you're in a relationship to where you just feel like you're just butting heads with somebody, and maybe especially if it's someone that you love and this is getting to be a real problem, again, SIMBI glow, really, really good for that kind of thing. He's also, along with SIMBI ANDEZO, known to work with Papa Legba. So there we have, right? Papa Legba, the great communicator, the great translator of everything. So now, if you're having a real problem that is, you know, like just making you crazy, you can pull in SIMBI glow with Papa Legba and ask him to help you, especially if you're working with or having to deal with someone that you just, and it's happened to all of us, that you just can't communicate with. You know, you feel like you're speaking that different language. You're like, what? This can be really, really helpful to petition, you know, for that kind of help, to just be like, I cannot communicate with this person. Help that person and help me. So when you're asking for that kind of help in that kind of situation, you want to just not ask for the help for you. You want to ask for the help for the other person, because we always have to consider that maybe we aren't communicating in a way that that person can understand, because we don't know what their level of understanding is. We don't speak their language. And so we have to take that upon ourselves too, to say, help us, but help them to communicate, help them to understand me, and help me to speak in such a way that they can understand me. So this kind of thing, you always want to make it a two-way street, because that's the problem right there. If you're not communicating, is you're not having a two-way street. You know, you're just butting heads. So if you have that person in your life, then that is a really good strategy to help you. So he can also help you to quiet your mind if you have trouble concentrating, you have trouble learning, having trouble staying focused, racing thoughts, that whole thing. SIMBI glow can really help you with that. So again, you have a golden opportunity on Sunday if you're having any of these issues to get some help with that. So, all right, SIMBI glow is sometimes syncretized with St. Andrew. There's a lot of debate about that, so I just thought I'd throw it out there. I don't see any problem with it. You know, but it's not as strong, I don't think, of a pairing as some of our other ones that we know and love. But I just thought I'd put it out there. If you're a person that likes to get a saint to represent your Loa, then St. Andrew is who you would use. So any questions about SIMBI Glow that we can address? So you can, if you need to write a petition or something like that. Brother Minfo, they can still get those in, right? Absolutely. Okay. And I put the information in the first slide. That link should be clickable too, to get the information about the ritual and what to do and how to do it and when it is and where it is and all that good stuff. So any questions about SIMBI Glow? No? Okay. Okay, so let's talk about SIMBI ANDEZO. So he is a great strategizer. He has a really good close relationship with Ogu Fere. So they're known to be friends, and it's really powerful, very acceptable to call on them together. And again, without repeating myself, like I did, repeating what I said about SIMBI Glow with Papa Legba, you get that sort of double whammy, so you get that situation that you just feel like, wow, I really need, my situation's complex, that kind of thing. Then, call them both. And in the Three Kings, we actually do a little homage to Ogun in there as well. And so check that out. It'll help you with kind of some understanding about this whole SIMBI thing anyway. If you don't do the ritual, go read it. I think it'll really help you. So he's known as SIMBI of Two Waters. And for him, anytime you're serving him, you want to have some fresh water and some salt water. So you can just make salt water, throw some salt in some water. You have salt water. If you happen to have access to ocean water, or if you happen to have someone who loves you and sends you ocean water, that's awesome. So, but if you don't, like if you're, like we're landlocked here, there's no ocean that we can get to easily. So if you are, just make some salt water. That's perfectly fine. So if you're doing rituals for SIMBI ANDEZO, always have both. Sorry. Allergies are really kicking up here. So SIMBI ANDEZO is known as the patron and guardian of the coast. So you can definitely call on him if you're going over water, through water, underwater. Call him for protection, to protect you in the water. If you, oh yeah, Harlequin is saying that you can get sea salt too. Good point. Thank you. Sea salt, duh. So you can make your salt water with sea salt, and I think that would be completely pleasing to SIMBI ANDEZO. So if you have someone in your family who is traveling over water, if you have someone who's in the military who will be crossing water or be deployed in water, anything like that, ask SIMBI ANDEZO to protect them. And he's a great protector in the water. And I find him to be a very strong Loa as far as protection. Not just in the water, but just in general, I find him to be very strong. So if you are going into a situation that you think could be harmful to you in any way, or someone in your family is, or your friends, it's great to call on Ogun Fere and SIMBI ANDEZO to send that level of protection for yourself or your loved ones. So SIMBI ANDEZO is also known to solve complicated problems, family problems, and I find this to be sort of a running thread with the SIMBIs, that if you're having family problems, that they can help you. And because they are a family, they're literally called the family of SIMBIs, I think they have a real handle on the idea of family and what it means to get complicated and, you know, to just not have things going as well as they should be. You know, so that would be a good thing to do with the Three Kings ritual